So I hope everybody see my screen. So I'm really happy that despite of our technical problems, you joined our webinar. I hope it's going to be valuable for you guys. And in the end, of course, I'll answer all the questions. So today we'll be talking about life on the road. So how to combine traveling and remote work. And thank you, Ben, for the quick introduction. How we met basically through internet, of course, because digital nomadism is all about meeting people remotely and then actually sometimes even in real, but we're going to talk about it later on. So yeah, let's say that the partners of today's webinars is Bennu Community and Collabee, which is my own company. And a few words about me. So I'm Natalia, and I'm a digital marketing expert and the CEO of Collabee. And Collabee is a freelance marketing platform where we basically match specialists based on the specific project requirements. So clients from different industries come to us, small startups or enterprises, and whatever they need to outsource from the marketing perspective, we match them with the specialists from our database. It's a global database, and we provide marketing 360, also graphic designer, UX designers. So it's like a matching platform, but it's also project management because I'm working with the client from A to Z. And I think I'm also a traveler. I know, I think that people always use this word these days that we all became travelers, which is a good thing, but it kind of sounds cliche from time to time. So I would prefer to call myself explorer of the world, or let's say the digital nomad. And as Ben already mentioned, I'm currently in Sri Lanka. Actually, I've been here almost for a month already, and now I'm in one of the hostels. So hopefully nobody would be too loud. I told everybody that today I have a webinar. And this is the photo from Sri Lanka, actually, with me and the elephant being super close. That was my first time in safari, and it was pretty amazing. And here you can find some links where to find me on LinkedIn or on like to find the details of my website at Collabee, or recently we also created an additional website which is Collabee Hub. So we can follow any of them. So quick reminder, the presentation will take around 40 minutes, plus we have like 15 minutes for Q&A. But I'm actually not sure how long it's gonna take because it's my spontaneous first time testing. So so you guys will see how it goes. But I'm open to all the questions you might have in the end. I hope the presentation is recording because that was the main point which we had with Ben. So hopefully you can watch it all over again, or that's going to be a good point for other people. And yeah, you can interact with others through the Telegram chat, which we created for the video perspective, but then it didn't really work out. So we switched to Teams. So you can still interact with others through Telegram, so feel free. And what are we be talking about today? So it's actually not all the subjects we will be talking about today. It's way more, but I wanted to keep a surprise for you guys. So we'll talk some words about digital nomadism, like the quick intro. I'll provide you some information about the financial security and income while being a digital nomad, about the challenges. That's what we all love, right? The challenges faced by the digital nomads. How to stay connected to the work if it comes to work and personal life, about health and safety, about the work-life balance, and many more. But you will see that in the upcoming presentation. So, again, I'm Natalia, and you probably think like how I even ended up here and what's my story. So actually, I think like for most of you, COVID was a game changer. It was also a game changer for me because I always wanted to work remotely and be able to travel as much as possible. I think I've been traveling like my whole life, but before it was like shorter trips and like not like distance destinations and everything like that because I couldn't combine working traveling in the same time, so I could only use my vacation, and I was always very sad about it because obviously I wanted to travel more and explore the world because I'm very interested in that. And yeah, COVID made it happened. I was already in the marketing industry, and that was one of the industries which changed a lot because of the COVID. So I started to work remotely in the beginning of the COVID, which was like April 2020, I think, or something like that. And then back then I was working in one of the corporations as a marketing expert. And then I changed the corporation because I was afraid that they're going to tell me to go back to the office. So yes, I did change my work because I still wanted to work remotely. But in the meantime, I knew that 9 to 5 kind of work is not really my thing. So I decided that I want to explore my other options. I started to look for some information about freelancing, like the possibilities of doing this. And then on the top of that, I was still working like my full-time remote job. But I discovered that the solution what I was looking for didn't exist. And this is how Collabee was created, basically. So I've been working already for 3 years on Collabee. And only recently I decided to quit my corporate job and only work for myself, which made it everything way simpler if it comes to organizing my work time. But I'm going to talk about it later on. So you probably wonder if there is a typical day working as a digital nomad. So I would say no, for me at least, but I guess many people has their typical day work. I think it also depends on like where you travel, what's your destination, what do you want to do and see in the place where you go, because you can do like slow digital nomadism, and then you just move around slowly, so you can actually make a typical day working. So you have your own small routine, which I follow as well. No matter where I go, I try to have a small routine, which is like, always waking up, exercising, waking up and going to sleep at the same time, exercising in the morning, having my morning coffee before working and stuff like this. But usually it's very hard to follow the same typical day every day when you travel. But the small part of the routine is very important, because when you travel, everything can be very intense, sometimes chaotic, and that kind of keeps you going. So when you know that you need to work, and especially that you don't have the typical working hours, it's very important to have like at least some small part of the routine. So whenever you're thinking about the digital nomadism, I encourage all of you to create this small routine, because it really helps you going through a day. So the financial security, that's really good point. And I think that it's really hard to think about creating your own business and thinking that it's going to be very stable and secure. Because it is a risky idea. I'm not saying that digital nomadism is about creating your own idea, because you can be a digital nomad and you don't need to have your own business. But definitely it gives you less financial security, especially when you're not doing the full-time job being paid for some external offices, but you're being paid by clients. Then the security is going way down. But I do think that life is all about trying. So if you have the idea of just trying freelancing on, or trying digital nomadism, I think you should, but it's better and safer to try it on the top of what you're already doing. So let's say you have your full-time job and you're thinking about starting a freelancing or getting an extra job, then it's good to find some space during your week hours or during the weekends to have some small things related to this new job. So then you can see like if you actually like it, what kind of financial security it can give you further on in the process. And yeah, it just gives you the overview. So I think it's really worth to try, and not be like one day you wake up and say like, my boss annoys me so much, I'm just going to quit. Well, it didn't happen like that for me. It was the whole process of trying different things and seeing what's working and what's not working. And of course, for many people, 9 to 5 working hours might work, and that's good. It just didn't work for me, so I was always looking for different solutions. And I also think that, you need to remember that it's not that all of this is happening at once. Like, it's step by step. So it's like the whole process. So you don't need to think like about big money in the beginning or anything like that. It's really hard. The market is quite demanding at the moment. So I think it's just good to remember, and that's what I tell myself when I have too many thoughts in my head, that I just need to go through that step by step, not everything at once, and then I can plan ahead everything, which goes to the third part of this. So I think we should plan through and follow our own path. So as I'm saying, this is how my story looked like, but maybe your story is going to look completely different, and that's fine. Unless you plan everything and you don't follow this amazing Instagram pictures of all the people working remotely, thinking that this is how it looks like. Well, of course, some of these things are true, but I think it's important to keep in mind that it also has its bad sides, and it's important to just follow our own path in it. So, the next point is related to how to be productive. Well, I wish I knew. Just kidding, of course. It's important to find what you love to do. And I think it's also a process, because I know plenty of my friends who are still in the search of what they want to do. And I think it's not really important to our age. I think it's just important to really discover this. And sometimes, like, the things which we love, they're not gonna give us the profit, but I think it's also important to keep them as a part of our life, because then it gives us more motivation to work on the work stuff, let's say. I think it's also important to find a goal to achieve. So maybe it doesn't need to be this one particular goal which you're going to achieve in like 20 or 30 years. I think it's just important to find those small goals to achieve daily or weekly or something like that, which just keeps you going. I think that as people, we are way more productive when we see what we are working for. So maybe not necessarily always the money is a good thing to follow as a goal, because of course we all need this to live our lives. But I don't think it's a good reason to stay productive. I think like combining doing what you love and finding your own goal can give you the good idea on how to stay productive. So I would say this is the best combination, but of course it's hard to find both in the same time. For me, of course, it changed completely my productivity when I discovered Collabee, and I felt very passionate about doing this, and I still feel the same way. But it was the whole process of getting there. So I think it's remember to take your time with this, because it's just gonna come to you. So you need to explore what you like to do, you need to explore what gives you the satisfaction, and then the productivity will just gonna come with the process. And here I would also bring up the topic of following your small routine, because I think that's one of the things which keeps you productive as well. Because when you wake up in the morning and you know at least that the small part of your day is going to look the same, then it's just easier to stay productive and follow the rest of the day. At least this is working for me and for plenty of my friends, so I hope it's going to work for you guys as well. Of course, there are plenty of tools where you can set up your daily or weekly goals, and it just also gives you some satisfaction when you see that you're fulfilling your commitments day by day, and you can get, I don't know, some points or whatever the reward you want to get. But these tools, these applications are also very helpful in the process. And I also think that it's important to plan ahead. And I would say that this point is highly connected to finding a goal. Because basically, when you plan to have a concrete goal, then you need to plan all the steps on how to get there. So, in the end of the day, it's your path to follow. But I'm just saying that that was helpful for me. So, I hope you will find it helpful as well. So, the best part of all of this, the challenges, right? Like today, it wasn't even internet issues, it was just technical typical issues which we can experience in every presentation, I feel like. But yeah, I would say that it's not all about working from the beach. So many people have this stigma thinking that digital nomadism is like, sitting in your yamak with the laptop on the beach and drinking the cocktail and just enjoying the life. Well, it's not really like that. So basically, if I'll be working from the beach, probably I wouldn't be able to see anything on my screen because the sun would be shining too much. The sun would get to my laptop as well. Probably it would be too noisy, and I'll be just pissed that I'm not able to work. So I divide the working time and the personal resting time when I'm on the beach, so I wouldn't combine both two. Um, I think that one of the big challenges as well is that you kind of need to accept that you cannot be in two places in the same time. And I know it sounds funny that, like, obviously we are not able to be in two places in the same time, but so many times when I was in my travels, I was missing out. I was missing out the birthday of someone from my family. I was missing out some friends meetings. I was missing out, going to the cinema for this movie everybody was talking about or whatever, like those kind of things, which are kind of obvious when you live in one place, but when you move around and travel a lot, then it's not so obvious anymore. So you kind of need to accept that this is how it looks like. And that's one of the biggest challenges, at least for me, because I'm very close with my friends and my family. And like most of my friends travel as well, so maybe it's a bit easier. But then plenty of them stay in Poland, where I'm from. And it's sometimes hard to accept that I'm not able to be part of every event I want to be part of. So I think here you just need to be present in the moment where you are at the moment. So if you travel and you explore these new places, new cultures, new food, and you talk with all these people about new experiences and you can get all of those, then just be present in that and don't think about other things which are happening without your ability to be there, basically. And of course, one of the challenges, which I love, is the internet and Wi-Fi issues. So my advice for this is to always buy the internet if you're planning to work from some places for longer time. Like for example, in Sri Lanka, where I am right now, I bought internet as well, and I'm really glad I did because in many of the places I went to, they were saying that they have Wi-Fi, but in the end it didn't really work. So the internet on my phone and using the hotspot really saved my life many times. But definitely that's one of the issue, and you kind of need to learn how to be flexible with time, flexible with different circumstances that you can dial into the call from different place which you don't know and you're not sure how the thing's gonna work. And if you're not gonna be cut off in the middle of the meeting, like I could be cut off in the middle of the meeting right now because sometimes in Sri Lanka I'm just losing randomly the electricity. So that could happen. And like I think the best advice for this is to stay calm. It's all gonna be okay. I guess the other side would always understand that technical issues might occur, And in the end of the day, we are just humans, and we should just respect one each other. And I think that being calm is the best what you can do in those kind of situations, and just try to laugh it out, and it's all gonna be okay. It's not that big of the deal. So these are my advices on how you can face those common challenges while being a digital nomad. So, if it comes to my favorite places, I really don't like to call anything favorite, because I'm all about meeting new people, exploring new cultures, sightseeing, going to the mountains, going to the seaside. I like diversity, so not like everything looks the same. Like I hate when everything looks the same. But I was trying, because Ben asked me to choose it, so I was trying to figure out what are the places which I really love. And I think in Europe, one of those places is Tenerife. It's Canary Island. I've been there already 3 times. One time I was working, of course, as a digital nomad from there. That was during pandemic. It was in 2021. I've spent there 3 months, and it was absolutely amazing experience, because it's really diverse. Like it looks completely different. Depends where you are, in which part of the island you are. And I don't know, I just love Spanish culture in general. I speak the language too, so I found this place amazing, and like many of my friends went there too, and we think that this island is very magical. It has something in it. That's why people tend to come back there plenty of times. But if it comes to the other destinations, I really love Asia. That's why I'm here again. It could be very chaotic, but in the same time, it always makes me calm. So that's the contrast of this place. And plenty of the people I know, they have the same feeling about Asia, that you might not understand everything. It's completely different than in your own country, and many times you don't speak the same language at all, and like cannot really communicate in English. But it doesn't matter in the end, because everybody is very, very kind. They always up for helping. And even though that many times they are not the most richest people, I would say many times they're quite poor, they are the nicest people I know in the world. So they don't have much, but they're able to give you even more. And they always smile. And that's why I just love coming back to Asia. And I experienced that a lot in Thailand. I'm going to Thailand on Monday, actually, going back. So I'm very excited for that too. And I experienced that a lot in Philippines. And yeah, it's just, I really highly recommend going to Asia and explore it yourself, like these parts of Asia, Thailand, Philippines. I've been to Cambodia, China, and now Sri Lanka. I still have plenty of the countries on my list, so hopefully just gonna check them out from my list soon. So, staying connected. What is the most important for you guys when you travel? So, at least for me, the most important is to stay connected with my family and friends. And as I mentioned before, when you're a digital nomad, you get to miss out a lot. So I think it's important, because it's easy to get lost when you travel a lot, because the time passes different for me, for people who travel a lot, because you experience way more things in a very short period of the time. So everything is new, you meet all these new people, you talk with many people on a daily basis, which probably doesn't happen to that extent when you're in your home country. And you explore these new places, maybe some new adventures, you're going hiking, you're going surfing, you're doing this and that, and it's just very intense. And it's important to keep in mind that in the same time, your relatives, your friends, they are not experiencing the time of their lives. So basically, let's say they're staying in your hometown and they're just following their own routines, daily routines, and they're just experiencing less than you are. So for you, the time is just passing in a different way. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like I feel like I've been in Sri Lanka for more than 2 months and it's been less than 1 month. So that could give you the idea, because everything was just so intense and there were so many things constantly happening. And at the same time, of course, I was working. So how to stay connected is, I think, to remember that you need to care about what's going on in the lives of your family and friends, and try to reach out to them, to the ones you care about, as much as possible. And I think the good pro tip is that you should call more than message, especially when it's a time difference. So so definitely you can, in advance set up some calls and just try to tell them like about your travel stories and everything like that, so they could feel that they're part of it, but you're also part of their lives. So I think that's very important. But if it comes to the staying connected to my work life, well, I cannot really disconnect. So I'm connected for most of the time, unfortunately, but this is the perks of having your own business, that you cannot really disconnect for longer. But it's okay because it has other advantages. So health and safety. So no kidding here. I would say that getting good insurance is the best advice I can give you. Actually, a few days ago, I had to use my own insurance because I twisted my ankle. I'm okay. Everything worked out pretty good if it comes to the insurance. So I'm wearing the stabilizer and everything is okay. But in general, that's important, that you cannot predict everything what could happen in a place where you're gonna go. So the best advice is to always check all the health requirements in the country you're going to. Maybe there are some tropical diseases and you need to take the vaccine in order not to get sick. And of course the insurance is crucial, because I never travel without the insurance, because too many things can happen, and they happened during my travels. I'm the lucky one. I used my insurance quite many times. So I think it's really, really important, because that's the most important thing when you travel, to get the right insurance, plan and check all the requirements when you go to any country, check if you need to get the vaccine for any tropical diseases, and just be careful, because things can happen in every country. Some of the countries are less safe than others, of course, but there's no rules for that, so anything can happen. So you need to watch out for your drinks. It's better to, like, if you travel solo, then be careful even more. When you travel with friends, of course, it's easier because you can take care of each other. But this you should save and remember, because it's really, really important. Okay, so since I'm only talking to myself, well, I hope you guys listen. We're gonna play a game right now. So if you can go, all of you, to this link, menti.com, menti.com, and enter the code. I will stop sharing my screen for a bit. Well, I think I should share it because you need to put this. Well, let me know once you guys get here, because I need to start the game. One moment. So basically, we'll start the game. Okay, I think I can use my screen now again. About the cultures. So yeah, I think it's here. Are people joining? We have 6 people right now, I guess. Oh no. Yeah, technical issues again. 8 people. Okay. I think it should be 10 or 11. Well, we can start. Here you will see the 6 players ready. Should we wait for more? Ben, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Do you think we should wait for more players or we should start?
I think, yeah, it's a good idea to start.
Okay. So here you have the question and you have 15 seconds to answer, and the quicker you answer, the better. Ooh, congrats, guys. Everybody got it right. Some people did it faster than others. Let's go for the next one. Which country is known for the festive celebration of Diwali? China, Sri Lanka, India, or France? That was quick, guys. Okay, almost everybody got it right. Okay, Moham, you're still the fastest. What is the traditional dance of the Maori people in New Zealand called? Samba, salsa, flamenco, or haka? Oh, I thought salsa. Yeah, salsa I think is more from Cuba. Actually, I'm done dancing myself. So let's see the points. Okay, just a few more questions. Oh no, what happened? Oh. In which country do people celebrate the Lunar New Year with the dragon dance? China, Japan, South Korea, or Vietnam? That was an easy one. Of course, China. Wow, Moham, you're doing great. Which spice is a staple in Moroccan cuisine? Salt, cumin, curcuma, or oregano? That might be a tricky one. Actually, it's cumin. I thought it's curcuma as well. When I was doing this, I was surprised. Okay. just 3 more questions. Which is the traditional dress for men in Scotland called? Kimono, sari, kilt, or poncho? Yeah, you probably hear some voices. As I mentioned, I'm in the hostel. But I hope it's not too bad. It's kilt, of course. Yeah. So, getting faster. Still, Moham, you're still the first one. Okay, we have only 2 more questions. Okay, let me start. Okay. Which cultural festival involves painting, music, and a massive street parade in Brazil? Carnival, Oktoberfest, Holi, Hanami. Carnival, of course. And the last question, guys. Before we need to check the leaderboard. Is it still Moham? Is it still you? Yeah. Okay, guys. Last question. Which country is famous for its ancient practice of tea ceremonies? Japan, UK, South Korea, China. China, of course. So let's see our leaderboard. Moham, congrats to you. Very good result. Well, thank you guys. Something didn't work out here, but congrats, Moham, again. The second place goes to, wait, because it needs to recount again. Shiva, and I don't see the last one, the third one, but yeah, I hope you guys noticed. So yeah, we had like a small break with our game, and let me come back to the presentation. So basically, if it comes to the culture, I always try to explore local experiences. So I always try to talk with local people and ask them what's going on in the country at the moment. Especially, I think it's very important when we go somewhere where the culture is completely different than what we know. So anytime I'm traveling outside of Europe, because I'd say that European culture is more or less the same, I try to be prepared from the cultural perspective. So I try to read about what's going on in the country, what they're going through. Um, Maybe, they had elections recently. Maybe they have some problems with something, especially when you go to Asia and there are plenty of poor countries here. Then it's always better to know what's going on from the cultural perspective, to not be ignorant and to have the real conversations with people who live here and understand what they're going through every day. And of course, in every place, you're gonna find people who just see you as a pocket of the money, but that's normal. But you will always find the good, authentic people as well. And I think it's worth to just be open for that and meet them and try to understand their culture, because you can benefit from that a lot. And I think that my own mindset changed a lot because I was traveling and exploring that. And I think that my biggest cultural shock was in China. Everything was different to me. I spent there 4 months. I was working there, and it was my biggest cultural shock. Like, I never experienced anything like that. Everything was just different. But, you can either treat it as something like a good experience, or you can complain every time that it's different than in your country. And I prefer to be open and experience more. So if it comes to work-life balance, well, I must say that I'm still looking for one. It's not so easy when you're a digital nomad and you travel a lot. But as I mentioned already a few times, this small part of the routine every day, it's really important to keep you going and to keep you motivated, but to also keep the balance. Planning is also very important because I guess all of you have, your daily work-life balance. So you're planning your day ahead, how it's going to look like when you wake up and before you start working, what you do and what you're doing after working. Like, we all need to balance it because it's not all about work itself. Like, the work should be additional thing to what we're doing in our life. It shouldn't be the main context. Of course, it matters. It's a big part of our life, so it's better to do something we love. But it shouldn't take over our life. So I'm getting here with the first point that you should just remember to rest. Like, we're just humans, we make mistakes, we get tired, and if we don't get enough of the sleep, enough of the good food, and enough of the socializing as well with your family, friends, whatever, or just your alone time with reading or watching something or whatever you find relaxing, then you won't find this balance because it cannot be all about working. It needs to be both. And it cannot also be about exploring. I mean, some people can, and I understand that they just travel the world and it's enough for them. It was never enough for me. Like, I wouldn't be able to just travel. After some time, I would be missing my work. But that's something to balance. Like, I'm trying to find the right balance because probably sometimes I do too much of one of those, but it's the process. So I think we're all going through the same. Also, if it comes to the communities, of course, before you start looking for the communities, I think you need to search for an answer for one question, like, what do you want from this particular community? Do you want to find people who share the same passion? Do you want to find people who are also digital nomads? Do you want to find a travel buddy? Do you want, like, are you opening your own business and you're trying to find people who are going through the same? That's a good part of being, like, part of the globalization right now, and that we all have the access to the internet, because we can access all of those communities and find the answers we need. So basically, we can find all the communities we need in our life, and there are high chances we'll find people we want to talk with. So I think it's really good to explore your options, and you can find Collabee. That's for the people who want to become freelancers in the marketing area. You can find Bennu community. Well, you know what it's about. You can find digital nomad Facebook groups, which are plenty of, and probably when you go to any country, you will always find a Facebook or WhatsApp group over there. And you can have, like, all these experience sharing communities and just share the experiences with other people. And it's important for you to grow as a person, to explore those communities, so you can exchange the skills, you can exchange the stories, you can support each other. I think it's really important in the digital world that we should just be one for another and support each other with whatever we are doing. So that's a big part of digital nomadism, I would say. And for me, it's always very helpful because I found many communities which helped me a lot throughout my process. And probably I wouldn't be where I am if I didn't join them. So I think it's a very big step in it. So how to make a travel plan? I think you just need to ask yourself the most important questions, like, what do you want to see? What's the most important for you during that trip? And what's your favorite place in the world? I think that when you think about it, you probably already have some ideas like about what's your favorite place. Like you can try to visualize it right now. Maybe it's a place you want to really go and you haven't been yet, or maybe it's one of the places you come back to many times. Like we all have our places. So I think it's important when you plan, just highlight what you want to do there. Like if you're going to combine the work and sightseeing, like if you're just going for sightseeing, how long is the trip? What's your budget? What kind of culture you want to explore? Like there are plenty of questions and plenty of resources where you can ask people who went who went through the same. So I think that's a good advice, to ask yourself those questions and try to think about the best ideas for yourself. And then from that point, you can always find information about this place anywhere in the internet. Or just, ask me. Maybe I was there already. So the future of work. As Ben mentioned in the beginning, now everything is shifting towards remote work. The COVID made plenty of changes if it comes to that sector. Actually, from my own research, I know that we already have like 36% of the workforce right now are freelancers, which is a big part of the workers. And it's predicted to double within next years. In general, the future of work is really the remote work. People are less likely to go to the offices in the near future, especially the younger generation. Because of with the growing technology and the globalization and the easiness of moving around, and everybody is looking for the possibilities to combine remote work and sightseeing. So I think then it's going to be very important, even more than right now, but it's already is to find this work-life balance and explore your options with it and stay motivated and hopefully not visit like too many psychologists because that's also a struggle. Like you need to also deal with the isolation when you work remotely, and you're just it's a lifestyle, so it has the advantages and the disadvantages, and it's definitely not for everybody because you can get tired of moving around constantly, and some people just need their place in the world to be, and that's also okay. So I'm almost losing my voice right now. I hope you guys like it, and I'm happy to start questions and answers. So yeah, let me know.
So great, thank you. Unfortunately, Natalia, I cannot turn on my camera. I don't know why. Something happened with my laptop again, and it's okay because you are there. But for now, for a few minutes, we have time to, as you said, for a Q&A session. If anybody has any question, can write in the chat section or even just turn on the mic and share the question. Seems Mohammed wants to say something, but anyway, because your camera is on. That's it. So if anybody has any question, just share with us. Natalia will be with us for a few more minutes, and after that we will finish this webinar. So who wants to ask any question? If nobody wants, I can share some questions. Okay.
Does Microsoft Teams have chat feature in it?
Yes.
I can't find it.
Yes.
Where is
It has. Yeah, exactly. This is the first time also we are organizing a webinar on Microsoft Teams. The point is, I think half an hour before the starting point of this webinar, we tried to test the Telegram and we couldn't use that one because Natalia couldn't hear and see me, right? At that moment, we decided to switch to another platform and we wanted to make it by Google Meet, but unfortunately Google Meet, this version we are using, it's not possible to record the webinar. At that moment, I decided to create a new account on Microsoft Teams in less than 10 minutes. And yeah, that's why still it's totally new for me as well. But I think if you will search more nomadism, you can find it. Try your best. So I have two questions. If it's okay, I can share with you, then others can also share their questions, okay?
Sure.
Natalia, can you hear me? So,
Yes, yes.
yeah, one of the questions I wanted to ask is about that point you mentioned about quitting your job, your permanent job, I mean, okay, and started to be a full-time digital nomad. Of course, at that moment, you struggled with lots of things. I mean, uh, of course, you were worried about the future and stuff like that. Um, uh, how did you personally prepare, I mean, both mentally and professionally yourself for this transition from a conventional job to a digital nomad? Would you like to explain more your experiences about that moment?
Sure, sure. So for me, it was just combining two jobs which I had. So basically, I was working full time and I was working on my business for 2 years in total. So I was just feeling that I'm working full time constantly. So it was definitely not work-life balance, and I was very, very unhappy because it was just too much in general. So when I started to think about transition, I started to think about the possibilities for my business to to try it out. So I think I just got to the point when I had to make a decision that I'm taking that risk and I want to try and see if it's gonna work. So obviously I prepared myself financially before that, because obviously when you're going fully on your own business, you're not gonna get like super big profits straight away. So that's something to keep in mind. So I was just trying to prepare myself for this to feel stable from the income perspective. And I think I managed that. And then I decided to quit and just work on things that I am passionate about. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously, it's still a process. And obviously, I'm always engaged in too many things. So I already started a second project as well. But I'm not a workaholic. It's just like I'm very
Mm-hmm.
passionate about different things. But yeah, I would say like I was planning this since the beginning of the year, and I quit in September. So I'm still like, it hasn't been too much since I quit, but so far so good, I'd say. I'm much, much happier since the moment I quit. I'm only focusing on the things I love, and they are bringing the results. So because before my attention was divided into two different things, which they weren't connected to each other. And now when I'm only focused on this, it's bringing better results. So well, let's see how it's gonna go. But I will never regret that I gave it a try.
Great. Thank you for your answer. Okay. Due to the point you already mentioned in your answer as well about financial part, also I have another question. In your experience, uh, what are the key financial planning steps? I mean, the one you should take before becoming a digital nomad. I mean, before becoming a digital nomad, you should prepare yourself, and one of the main things is
Well,
what are
I
those steps?
Yeah, I think first of all, you need to plan your finances for the next month. So it also depends, like,
Just
what's the
1 month?
transition? No, for
Just one
next
month?
month. Next month.
Next month, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because of course it depends on the transition you're gonna do. Like if you're making a transition like to also work on something particular and you're gonna get profit out of it. So it depends if you're sure that you're gonna get stable profit out of it or not, because that's gonna of course affect your decision about the finances. But in general, the most important is to know where, more or less, where you're gonna live, and if you're gonna travel, then like what are your destinations, on what destination you're going for? Because of course, Asian countries are cheaper than, I don't know, traveling
Right.
around Norway or Finland, you
Netherlands.
know, Netherlands. So of
Yeah.
course. So that really depends, like what kind of destinations you're gonna choose, what's the comfort of your life, because you know some people are just used to a certain comfort and they wouldn't be able to go
Right.
for less than that. So you
Right.
need to take that into the consideration as well. So like firstly you need to make the points about this, like the travel destination, your own budget, your comfort, and then based on that also add the potential profits you might get during that time, and you'll get the perfect mix if you are able to go fully on the digital nomadism or no. Like of course what I'm always telling myself, and I'm telling that to other people I know who are thinking about it, it's not that it's like lifetime decisions. So you can make that decision to try it out, to see how it's gonna work out for you, and if you're gonna, you know, feel stable with that lifestyle
Yeah.
if it comes to the financial perspective. But then if it's not gonna work out and you decide that like you prefer to have your full-time job and just work
Yeah, I got
in
it.
the office, then it's okay, you can just come back to this. But whatever you learn during the process of doing this, it's yours. Like it's yours,
Yeah.
it's your experience. So like for me, it's always worth to try if you really feel the eager to do it, because then you can only see if you like it or not.
Great. It's a good point. Thanks for sharing. So let's jump to my third question. After that, others can ask their questions as well. Based on my experiences, I think distractions are one of the main challenges while you are doing or working as a digital nomad. Okay. So I
Yeah.
want to ask you about this issue. I mean, how do you maintain productivity and managing distractions? Why working in different environments and, you know, different situations, because you cannot manage everything or handle the stuff there.
Yeah, that's actually a good question. I think you need lots of resilience. Like, it comes with the process. I've had calls like when I was even working full time as a digital nomad, but I was working for
Mm-hmm.
someone else. I was having calls from the weirdest places you can imagine. Like as long as you have service, once I have a call from the cave. So like as long as you have service and you're capable of doing your job, then you can
Mm-hmm.
do it from really anywhere. But of course, like jokes on the side. I've learned how to work despite of the distractions.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, it didn't happen since the beginning, but now I focus more when I hear something. So basically, I don't mind working from the cafe. I don't mind working around other people. When I need to focus, I just like kind of clean the sounds like next to me. I don't hear them at all. But
Mm-hmm.
it's like I think it's the case of just staying focused on what you're doing, and that just keeps you going, you know, especially when you follow any deadlines and you just know you need to finish something. You don't care where you are.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, you're able to work from different places. But of course, if you really value the comfort of working, you know, from the desk and having your big screen next to you,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that I don't like it, because sometimes I'm also tired and I would prefer to work like this, but I just got used to working from different places.
Great, thank you. I have one, two more questions, but I prefer not to continue and ask others to share their questions as well, if anybody wants.
Hi again. I don't know if you're having my video feed or not, because I'm
Yes,
It's
having
okay.
some
I do.
It's
difficulties.
I do.
okay.
Great. I had few questions. They're all in the same criteria. Um, what was the most important challenge you faced during the time you chose digital nomad?
Oh, you got cut for a
As
second.
you look,
Can you repeat the question, please?
yeah, yeah. What was the most important challenge you faced on your during the time you chose to be a digital nomad?
um, it's a very hard question.
There were a
uh,
lot.
I think there were plenty of challenges. They were coming from different aspects. Like sometimes I was just like something was happening, like in my own country, something happened to my family, and of course that's the challenge. Like you need to accept that you're just in the end of the world, and you cannot just fly straight away. And that's something like which you need to go through mentally, like and accept it. There are of course plenty of challenges related to like internet issues, but that's happening constantly. So I think I just stopped being bothered by that. And of course, like you can experience different health issues when you travel. That's why I was highlighting a lot the fact of getting the insurance, because you can plan a trip, and that happened to me plenty of times before. That before I was planning my trips very detailed, but then I decided that it makes no sense because the trips were surprising me too much, and there were too many things happening which I didn't have control of, and like that was related to the health issues, and then you just need to once you are in the moment, you just need to deal with the thing which is happening. So you cannot be prepared in advance, because I was planning lots of things and I was checking plenty of things, but then you really need to be resilient in a way. So you need to keep going even though something happens, and like in the end of the day, of course, the trip is just a trip. So like, I don't know, I just stopped some of my trips because I wasn't able to continue them. And that's also okay. You can always come back wherever you feel safe, wherever you feel home. And yeah, I think the biggest challenges were related to health, honestly, because other things you can overcome more easily, and the health is something which might just stop you.
Thanks. Another question I had was there any point on your path of being a digital nomad that you regretted your choice, you regretted to be a digital nomad, and thought that I just want to be back behind the desk in my office again?
Oh yeah, of course. There are plenty of times like this. There are just moments when you're feeling stressed and you're like, oh my God, like why am I even doing this to myself? Everything is chaotic. Like it can be very overwhelming. So I that's what I was like highlighting before. It really depends what kind of lifestyle you're choosing, because if you're like a slow digital nomad and you're not changing the destinations like constantly, you're staying in one place for at least, I don't know, 1 month, for example, then you create the routine and everything around this place. So it's easier. Like you kind of feel like you're home. It's like your second home. But then if you travel a lot and you move around a lot, like for example, I was moving a lot in Sri Lanka, you get tired, you get overwhelmed of the things, and then you start to regret, or like maybe not regret, like I didn't regret it here during that travel, but maybe sometimes you're like feeling tired of all of the things that are happening, and you're thinking, oh, maybe I should just be home and rest and like work from the office, and that should be easy. Also the moments when people like to belong somewhere, and I think that's very important. So when you feel that you're belonging to your workplace, for example, and you share like experiences on the daily basis with your coworkers, then it gives you this feeling of the belonging somewhere. And when you travel a lot, you keep meeting new people, but you don't have this feeling of belonging, because well, it's nice to meet people, but then in the end of the day, you also want to make good connections. So sometimes when you're tired, sometimes even of meeting new people, you just miss like being surrounded by the people who know you well. So that's something you're thinking about when you're in the long-term travel, for example.
Thank you. Do you have any more questions, Melissa?
Not currently.
Okay, so
Not now.
anybody else? Because I want to ask more questions. Even
But
I want.
we have someone else. Ben, give a space.
Okay, it's okay. Mustafa.
Yes. I want to ask, you mentioned a lot of challenges about being a digital nomad, and I think you change our perspective, which we may see on social media and other stuff. As Mohammed asked, Mars asked about a lot of challenges, a lot of regrets, and so on. I want to ask about a lot the deep value of being a digital nomad despite these challenges, hard situations, and so on.
Yes, finally someone asked about it. There's not only bad side, there is a good side. Well, actually, just the exploring the world itself is amazing. Like, you got to the new places, you learn about the new cultures, you just see something completely different. You're like, you keep something in your mind from the place where you were born, from your surroundings, and then you travel to like completely different environment, and you just like open your mind. Like, you learn about the differences, you learn about other people, what they are going through, and then maybe your problems, which seem to be bigger in your own country, just are less problematic when you go somewhere. And I think that was the biggest change in my life, because like it's amazing when you can talk about it and understand what's going on in completely different country, while like if you just read about it in the news or anywhere else, you might just have completely different idea. But then you actually meet those people, you listen to their stories, and like your mind opens, your heart opens. And of course, you also get to see the beautiful views, the amazing beach, the great mountains. You're exploring the nature. I love nature myself. I'm not a fan of the big cities, so you can explore the diversity of the nature, which is amazing. And I don't know, just to share the stories with people from all over the world. That's why I love staying in hostels, because right now when we finish the webinar, I know I'm gonna go there and talk with those people over there, and they're gonna ask me how was the webinar. And that's the fun part like about it, that these people became friends for a few days, but sometimes you can build like really meaningful friendships. And that happened many times in my travels, and I met the people who I met during the travel in my life, and we became friends. And you don't need to stay in one place to have really good friends all over the world.
Yes, your questions lead me to my second question, which is the friendship stuff. And the lifestyle you are talking about maybe forms new type of friendships. And I want to ask you that, is it possible to keep those, all the style of friendship we imagine as, not being a digital nomad, or maybe it transforms into a different type of thing,
I think it might transfer to different type of the thing, because when you're having a particular lifestyle and you're experiencing particular things, then it's easier to build different connections with people, because you yourself have different energy, and because the more you experience, the more you can share about your stories, you're becoming like a different person. So then obviously, like, sometimes because of that, you might lose some friendships from the past, because you're just not having the same energy with the people as you had before. But you can create like amazing friendships with the people who you just met. And like, for me, it happened even in Sri Lanka when I arrived here. Like, I think 2 days after I arrived, I met like two amazing people who just, we had the super similar energy, and it was so easy to talk. And just because you share like similar lifestyle, similar problems, good sides and bad sides, so it's easier to connect.
Thank you. That was my questions.
Thank you.
Okay, great. For the last but not least question, I want to ask something about skills, if it's okay, and then we can finish this session. The point
I had a
is,
question too. I'll leave,
Okay.
leave the
Okay,
question to
guys,
you.
you
let's
can
make
ask
it
your
quick.
questions in the group, you know?
Let's
Oh, okay. Okay, I'll ask it there.
But
no,
it's
you
okay
can
if you want
ask
to ask.
me. I can get 2 more questions, but let's make it fast, guys. I'm losing
Yeah,
my voice.
yeah, exactly. That's why I thought it's a good idea to. Even I can forget my question if it's okay. I mean, no worry.
Go for it, Ben. Don't make it faster. Don't make it slower.
Okay, so it's about future work skills, I mean, and education, because one of the main things I already tried to talk about, and we are talking about that topic in Bennu community is soft skills and stuff like that. I wanted to ask you about these skills. I mean, what skills do you think will be most valuable for digital nomads in the future? Uh, and how, I mean, those future digital nomads can acquire or develop these skills based on your experience.
I would say project management, time management, looking in general for motivational tools,
Mm-hmm.
and taking care of your mental health. I think it's very crucial. It's very easy to feel isolated when you're a digital nomad. Like, even though you have access to plenty of the things, but as I mentioned, you can face plenty of challenges as well.
Yep.
So plenty of the times you can feel a bit more lonely, let's say. So then it's really important to take care of your mental health and like this all together, because
Uh-huh.
when you work, especially when you work for yourself, you can lose easily the motivation and just feel tired of it. And then that's the good moment to reach out to also to the communities, but also to your closest one. But if it's not going to work, to
Uh-huh.
just take care of your mental health and keep it in mind. But like, I would say that the getting to your point, that project management, time management, and those
Mm-hmm.
kind of skills are very important. Like, everything was related to networking, like global networking. So being open to do things like webinars, or for example, just connect with people through remote devices. That's
Yeah.
also like, that's gonna be a basic point basically. So like you just have to do it if you want to be a digital nomad. But I think that educational part right now is very important. I'm working myself on the second project, which is a educational course on how to become a freelancer.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, hopefully next year we're gonna release it. And we also talk a lot about the soft skills over there. So we're talking about, like, how to deal with your finances, about
Mm-hmm.
work-life balance. I think that's gonna be very important, like, for current and future freelancers and remote workers, like, to keep this work-life balance, because there's still, like, there's lots of talking about it, but
Yeah,
still not
got it.
enough resources.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. That's it. I'm done.
Thank you.
Mohammad, would you like to ask your question for the last question? It's okay.
I
We can
guess I'll ask it in the group. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you guys. I hope you like it. And you can find me on LinkedIn, and you can find me through Collabee. So you can go to Collabee. And yeah, thank you for your attention. And yeah, reach out to me if you have any questions. I hope I can answer them. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Natalia, for accepting my request for organizing this webinar. We faced with some issues during, managing and organizing that one. But anyway, that was a good experience. This is the first time we are organizing this event, these kind of webinars on Microsoft Teams. And now we have a new account on Microsoft Teams. Maybe in the future, yeah, we'll continue using Microsoft Teams for other webinars as well. So thank you again, and
Thank you.
yeah, hope to see you somewhere in the board.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the record from the session. Thank you.
Yeah. We will share it first
Okay.
with all of you. Thank you again. Bye.
Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for sharing your experiences and